Morning enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all well and I hope you're having a great day. So today we're back on the Racing Green, and as you can see I've turned it around because now it's time to start on this side. I'm not sure whether this side is going to be worse or better. It's on the curb side if you're in the UK, so the near side, it's a side that goes through all the puddles, all the potholes and everything like that. So typically they corrode a little bit worse on this near side, but we'll have a look. Let's have a quick look round it and then we'll get stuck into getting this side repaired. Let's see what it needs. So straight off the bat, we've got the same problem with the upper shock mount. This side looks a little bit more corroded than the other side. If we look inside here, we shouldn't be able to see up inside the car. So we've got the same problem where we're probably going to have to cut the end of the scuttle off. And if we look at the inside of the door here, lots of corrosion and holes down the bottom here, and they just go all the way up. So we'll get the door off in a moment. And now, quite interestingly, the sill looks reasonably solid. It has got black gunk on it. It has been patched up in the past. But like with most mini sills, the further you get towards the back, the better they get. I can actually see a few patches, patch there, patch there. There's obviously going to be patches at the front and on the floor pan again. So we'll have a poke around with that in a moment. Let's have a look inside. Bit dark in here. So let me grab a light. So on the inside, let's move these heater cables out of the way. On the inside, yeah, we got patches here. And I think we've got the same issue with the toe board where it's been patched from the outside. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's definitely been patched from the outside, so that's going to have to come out as well. So it looks like it's very, very similar repairs on this side. You can see the inside, how rotten that is. Quite interestingly, the A panel is, it looks in pretty good nick. That's probably because it's full of filler or something like that, but the A panel's going to have to come off anyway. I'm sure like the other side, it'll just be rotten behind. So let's get started. Let's get that door off. Let's have a poke around to the seals and see what we're playing with. Well, there wasn't much holding that A panel on, was there? Oh dear. I think actually it looks like the actual hinge panel looks okay. Obviously the flitch is completely knackered. But yeah, it's quite interesting because this A panel is actually not in bad condition, but obviously it's got to come off. It's got no return lip there. This has been replaced in the past because I can see there's sealer up in the inside of here, which there wouldn't be normally. To be honest, that's probably not helped it. That's probably added to the corrosion, trapping water in. And there's a sticker on there, so don't know whether it's heritage or something else, but anyway, we're gonna have to replace that. Luckily A panels ain't expensive. So next up we've got our corrosion assessment tool, or tools. Let's poke around with this sill and see how strong it is. well, I've got to be honest, it's pretty solid. And to some people watching, they may think I'm mad replacing the whole sill. I'll say it's pretty solid. We've got a hole here, we've got a hole here, we've got a bit of corrosion back here, but the very, very last part of it's okay. But we're going to chop the whole lot out. Obviously, this front bit here is a bit rotten. Yeah. I won't time lapse this because I've got plenty of videos showing me taking seals off. The previous video, the other side, details it. So I'll be back in a moment. We're going to run a slit all the way along here, along the top, along the lip. We are then literally just going to bend it down. Most of the times you've got to chisel between the two. There's spot welds down the bottom here. To be honest, the rustier it is, the easier it is to take off. Right then, a couple of hours later, we've got the seal off. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. As I say, always get back better towards the back. These are where I've had to tear out the spot welds, but that is the original seal. It's never been replaced before. There are, however, there's a couple of patches, so it's been patched here and it's been patched there, and they have just overlapped it. So it's worth doing, but as you can see, it's not actually in that bad a condition. It didn't just fall off. It took a bit of fighting to get it off, and obviously this one has been patched there very poorly. It's got a patch that end as well. And like I mentioned, there's our A panel. It's not in bad nick actually, but yeah, someone's run sealer up the inside of here, and obviously the lip is really poorly folded over. It's barely folded at all, so that's probably not helped things. So yeah, that's the seal. Let's have a look with the seal off, and I've got to be honest, I am pleasantly surprised. It does need some work, but in general it's in pretty good condition. There's some holes at the back here, so the holes here are where I've torn the metal taking the seal off, and I've got a bit over enthusiastic with a chisel, but as you can see, that rear slinger bracket is still there. It still had the plastic bung in actually. As we go forward, we've got a hole here which is going to need patching. We've got a hole here which is going to need patching. But as we get closer to the front, things are not too bad. So our jacking point is actually good on this side. I can reuse that jacking point. I've put a bit of a slit in the sill there with a cutting disc, but I can weld that back up. And as we go towards the front, it's actually pretty solid. This hole is torn where I've torn off the spot weld. And it is, to be honest, although it's solid at the front here, it is just a bit of a mess. Front slinger bracket is still intact amazingly. But all of this is all bodged up with multiple layers under here. So I think this whole front floor pan section we're probably just gonna replace anyway. So it'll be up to about here. So it'll sort out all of this lot. But I'm really pleased about the jacking point. That means that I don't think I've got to take the doorstep off, which is probably going to save me quite a lot of time and hassle not having to do the doorstep. So there's a little bit of light surface rust on the step itself, but it's in pretty good nick. I'm going to need to replace the front part just because that's rotten. And then inside, I'll say I'm in two minds. I know what I'm going to do. So it's a mess in this corner. There's plates welded on the inside, the outside. There's probably 3 layers there. Some awful welding in places like this. So you know, this all needs cutting out here. The toe board this side isn't actually cracked, but someone's welded a plate on the outside. So rather than having layers of metal, I'm going to take it back original. I think I'm going to cut out around there and replace that section. And like I say, it does only really want this corner, but I think just for ease, I'm probably going to do very similar to the other side, and we're going to replace the floor pan from sort of here forward. Yeah, and just prepping the back bits. But yeah, quite a good bit of work today. Really, like I say, it's just a case of cutting out now. I've got to separate these lip here, which is always difficult to do. But let me get cracking on, and I'll be back with a status update in a minute. Right then, I've been busy. No messing around. Let's just get it all out. So that's the sill off now. Put the bracing bar in just in case. Part of the toe board, and obviously a floor. Same as the other side, we've got a nice shiny new floor to go in. It's a Magnum panel that, but it fitted pretty well on the other side. Obviously down the bottom here, we're going to be replacing this flipped panel anyway. And the metal I've cut out. So as you can see, this corner was really bad. We got patches on top of patches here, and just look at the thickness of the weld on some of those bits. There's awful welding. Just have a look at the flip side of it, because it's just a bit of a mess really. As I say, there's patches on top of patches on top of patches, I think. Pretty pleased with that. Cut the rot out. That is our bit off the toe board, which actually I replaced the other side because it was cracked. This side it hasn't cracked, but as you can see, someone's welded a plate just over the top of the existing metal. So that will get condensation between the two layers and it will corrode. So and in fact you can see the metal's swollen up already. I bet that started to corrode between the two layers already. And that again, it's really heavy. There's the front part of the bottom part of the toe board. It's just trying to work out what's what. That's got a patch on the outside of it as well. So yeah, good bit of work today. We just need to start reconstructing it really. I'm going to put some cure rust on the inner sill before I start. I've got a few little repairs to do on there. And I've still got to get this lip off yet, which is, I hate doing that job. It's really a horrible job. And if I'm struggling too much, I might actually just take the doorstep out, the whole doorstep anyway, because that means you don't have to unpick all of these bits along there. But I'll see how it comes off anyway.